Hey everybody, East Coast Pete here. So who named that band the Bare Naked Ladies? Here's a name that draws attention. These guys are a rock band from Canada, Ontario actually. Their first release was in '91, an independent cassette, the first of these ever to go gold. Their first album was on Reprise. It was titled Gordon. Ed Robertson and Steve Page began as a duo. They added Jim Cregan, Kevin Hearn, and Tyler Stewart. Andy Cregan was also a member between '89 and '95, and Page left much later in 2009. Robertson and Page had known each other since grade school. They became friends following a Peter Gabriel concert. They bonded further as counselors at a music camp. At a Bob Dylan concert, the two friends amused themselves by commenting about the band as they were both rock critics. They were pretending to be rock critics and would comment on Bob Dylan's music throughout the show. It's kind of funny because I happen to know that Bob Dylan did the same thing at a Paul Simon show once in New York City. Paul didn't like that much. Anyhow, the Bare Naked Ladies also made up comedic fictional band names for each other, and one of these was the Bare Naked Ladies, and that's where the name comes from, East Coast Pete. The duo played at local venues doing whatever cover songs they knew. They became better known for their improvised banter between songs. It's like a comedy routine. The first tape was titled Bare Naked and was made using a 4-track recorder. This was more difficult than it seemed. The digital age had not yet begun, with software making multi-track recording much easier. Their recording of original material landed them a gig opening for Corky and the Juice Pigs, another band with a strange name, who asked the duo to go on a cross-Canada tour. This is when Andy and Jim Cregan joined as a rhythm section. The next recording was another cassette titled Bare Naked Lunch, also known as the Pink Tape. Featured the two new band members. The tape was mastered incorrectly and played too fast. Think Chipmunks. Andy Cregan left to go on a student exchange program with South America, leaving the band without a drummer. In 1990, they met drummer Tyler Stewart and took him in. When Cregan came back, he played keyboards and conga drums. That's what happens, you got a guy who wants to go on a trip and come back a long time later and wants to get in the band, just put him on the conga drum. Great. Just keep him around just in case you might need a new drummer. And there you have one right there. The first commercial release was the Yellow Tape in '91. It cost between $2,000 and $3,000 to create the demo. They sent copies to all the Canadian labels they could find, and they all said no. The copies were peddled at shows, and they sold quite a few. At a New Year's Eve show in Toronto, the Bare Naked Ladies were bumped by June Rollins, then the mayor of Toronto, because she felt that the band's name objectified women. No. The rejection had the opposite effect. By calling attention to the band and greatly increasing the sales of the Yellow Tape, score 1 for the anti-politically correct faction. Remember, the electorate had just been through the PMRC congressional hearings with Frank Zappa. The rejection of the Bare Naked Ladies just because of their name proved Zappa's point that the government had no business regulating culture, and any attempt to do so would have the opposite effect. The story of the city of Toronto versus the Bare Naked Ladies stayed with the band for better or worse throughout their career. There was a long period of time during which the labels weren't interested. The band kept going and finally signed with Sire in 1992. The first album, Gordon, was a success in Canada. In 2 months, it went platinum. Here's the songs on Gordon. 1. Hello City. 2. Enid. 3. Grade 9. 4. Brian Wilson. 5. Be My Yoko Ono. You probably say that to all the girls. 6. Wrap Your Arms Around Me. 7. What a Good Boy. 8. The King of Bedside Manor. I'm thinking that's a manor up on top of a hill named Bedside Hill. 9. Box Set. 10. I Love You. 11. New Kid on the Block. 12. Blame It on Me. 13. The Flag. 14. If I Had $1 Million. 15. Crazy. And 16. Secret Track. Wonder what that could be. Second album, Maybe You Should Drive, went in 94, did less well in Canada. It had the Bare Naked Ladies found the Emperor's New Clothes. The U.S. tour was also not successful. Andy Cregan left and the band was not getting along. Page and Robertson barely spoke. Barely. Page was also struggling with alcohol and depression. More than barely. The next album, Born on a Pirate Ship, in 96, got a boost from 2 American TV shows. Their song Shoebox was on the soundtrack for Friends and on an episode of Beverly Hills 90210. The Bare Naked Ladies played at the Peach Pit After Dark nightclub. Kevin Hearn came in on keyboards and they recorded and released a live album. And their song, Brian Wilson, was a modest hit in the U.S. In 1998, they released Stunt. The single 1 Week spent a week at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. And Stunt reached number 3 in the U.S. and number 9 in Canada. In 2000, Maroon did fairly well, but not as well as Stunt. In 2003, Everything to Everyone even sold less. The band did not renew their Reprise contract. 2004, Bare Naked for the Holidays was their first independent release since the Yellow Tape. They created their own label, Desperation Records, and have released their subsequent work independently from then on. In 2006, they wrote and recorded the theme song for the TV series The Big Bang Theory, and certainly you've heard that about 1 million times. 2009, Page left. It was a mutual departure. All in Good Time was released the next year along with a new indie label, Raisin Records. 2012 saw Stop Us If You've Heard This One Before. 2014 saw A Long Weekend LP. In 2015, Silver Ball. In 2017, Fake Nudes. In 2018, Tour with Hootie and the Blowfish. So, what's in a name? A rose by any other name is still a blowfish. That was stupid, Pete. So anyhow, who named that band again? I don't know. It didn't really talk about that, did it? Oh well. See you next time on Who Named That Band? Oh, and if you know who named them the Bare Naked Ladies, why don't you just give me a comment or something? I'd like to hear from you. Don't forget to hit like. Thanks. See you next time.